With me now is Eric Faddis, criminal defense attorney and former state felony prosecutor. Hey, thanks so much for joining us on CTV News Channel. Not being acquitted of sex trafficking and racketeering, how significant is this? I want to get your reaction to this overall verdict.
Oh, gosh, it's a tremendous win for the defense. I mean, look, on the RICO charge, he was looking at up to the rest of his life in prison. Sex trafficking charges, there were two of them. The mandatory minimum is 15 years, so significantly above what he's facing on the charges on which he was convicted. He's convicted of the least serious charges, which are interstate prostitution, and they still carry up to 10 years, but they are not the crimes of the century, and he might get a relatively lenient sentence.
So let's pick it up from there. Up to 10 years for each of those charges. A possibility, a maximum of 20. But how much prison time are you anticipating he might serve?
You know, the court is going to look at a number of factors in deciding the sentence. The court's going to look at his lack of criminal history. He doesn't have any other significant criminal convictions. That's going to bode in his favor. The court's going to look at the seriousness of the offense. Now, these are federal convictions, so serious, but not the crime of the century. It's transporting someone across state lines for purposes of a commercial sex act. And so, you know, will the court look at the broader picture and the overall alleged misconduct that is separate and apart from the prostitution? The court shouldn't, but it's possible. All things considered, I think we're still looking at something within like the 2-year range, possibly even time served, and let him go.
So if this is considered a victory, more or less, for Sean Combs, what do you feel in following the case might have gone wrong for the prosecution or gone right for the defense team?
You know, on the RICO charge, that is typically reserved for like the mafia or street gangs. Here, the federal government used it in a creative way to say that Bad Boy Entertainment was essentially a criminal enterprise. I'm not sure the jury bought that. And on top of that, the prosecution didn't call any co-conspirators as a part of this alleged criminal enterprise, which involves multiple people. The jury wanted to hear from those folks. On the sex trafficking charge, there was conflicting testimony as to consent. There were some text messages from the alleged victims that appeared to show that they did want to engage in some of these romantic encounters. So I think that those issues ultimately led the jury to find reasonable doubt as to the RICO and sex trafficking counts.
And very quickly, I just want to get your thoughts on the possibility of bail as well, as that could be decided at some point later today.
You know, I think it's reasonably likely. The court is going to consider whether Diddy is a flight risk, and he arguably is. He's got a ton of resources. He could flee the country, but he's looking at a relatively low possible prison sentence. And on top of that, he was just acquitted of the major charges. So I think the judge may release him. And if so, that would telegraph a more lenient sentence coming a few months later.
Eric Faddis is a criminal defense attorney and former state felony prosecutor. Eric, thanks so much for your time on CTV News Channel today. Appreciate it.
Good to be with you.